We're outside Paris's main courthouse, the Palais de Justice, because today, culture is investigating the crime thriller. Let's bring in our prime suspect, the author Harlan Coben, who sold 50 million books. His latest, Stay Close, is about a woman who thinks she's living the American dream until her dark past comes back to haunt her. Let's see if Detective Gladys Mariba can get him talking.
I usually love to create characters who have had the American dream and sort of trying to protect it, and something comes in and tries to ruin it. But in this case, it's Megan's own desires. She misses her old life. She misses the wilder ways. She has the American dream, and maybe it's not everything she hoped it would be. So that's where the lie begins.
Speaking of American dream, you often set your novels in quiet and rich suburbs in New Jersey. But with Stay Close, you decided to move to Atlantic City. What does this city inspire you?
Well, I love the distinction between the sort of happy, wealthy suburbs and all of the broken dreams of Atlantic City. Actually, Atlantic City is quite different now than it was when I wrote the book, because we had Hurricane Sandy's destroyed a lot of it. But Atlantic City is a place I frankly find people who gamble too much, it's depressing. You know, you kind of go there, and it's really a place of broken dreams and scattered dreams. You have these sort of beautiful or big, gaudy hotels that sit like flowers amongst the weeds that's the rest of the city. And so I thought it was a cool place to set a book.
In Stay Close, there's always this couple nicknamed Ken and Barbie because of their angel-looking faces, but their hobby is to torture people. So all this creates an atmosphere of fear. Do you think fear is symptomatic of the American state of mind?
I try not to say or give too many moral lessons in the book, or at least say what they are now. My job really is to tell the story.
And do you think thrillers are the best way?
I don't think thriller is necessarily the best or only way to say anything, but I do think thrillers may be the best way to tell a story, because they tell a story. Too often people want to tell you about social injustice or some problem, but it's boring. It's not entertaining, and so you don't listen. But in a thriller, and I would argue that most great novels have a crime, what's called crime drama, and most great novels have a crime. Most novels you remember in your life. Most novels that have survived 100 years involve crime and suspense. So yes, I think especially today, the best social novels are thrillers or crime novels.
Harlan Coben, today you're a bestseller writer. Does this success have an influence on your writing?
The success has no influence on my writing at all. The pressure for me has always been self-inflicted. That is, I want every book to be better. I want Stay Close to be your favorite Harlan Coben novel. And its next book, I want the same thing. So that's always where it comes from. I want to find new ways to keep you up at night, make you turn pages, grip you, move you, and change you, whatever it's going to be. I want to make that experience better every single time.
I was thinking of your star characters like Myron Bolitar, the spot agent, or Wynne, and your fans really love them, but you decided not to focus on them. Did you ever think of writing a series?
The way I decide if I'm going to write a Myron Bolitar or if I'm going to write a standalone is I think of the idea first. And if the idea will work for Myron, he'll tell it. Most of the time over the last decade, it has not worked for Myron, so he doesn't tell it. It's as simple as that. I never force it to go one way or the other. I think Myron Bolitar is also getting older, and he's aging and changing, which I want. I don't know how many more books Myron has in him.
He may die?
Oh, he's not going to die, I don't think. Actually, I think you'll know the Myron Bolitar series is really over when he's happy.
Harlan Coben, today you're working on the movie adaptation of Stay Close, and in France, Guillaume Canet adapted your novel Tell No One in 2007. So what's your relationship with movie? Do you think of movie when you're writing a novel, or does it come after you finished your book?
I never think of movies when I'm writing. I don't think, ooh, this will be great in a movie. I think cinematically sometimes as a writer, most writers do, but I don't think, ooh, this would be a wonderful movie. I enjoy the movie-making process, and I will tell you the greatest one of the greatest experiences of my life was working with Guillaume Canet and Alain Attal and Philippe Lefebvre on Tell No One. It was just magic from the word go. And in fact, I'm still looking. I have a couple of the books that I want to make again into French films. I have to just find the right guy. So if there's somebody good out there have them contact me. I'm looking forward to that.
What's your next book?
Well, my next book, 6 Years, is I think the first love story I've done since Tell No One. It's a thriller too, but it's a love story similar to the way that Tell No One was. And the first line of the book is, I sat in the back pew and watched the only woman I would ever love marry another man. And then what happens is she says to him, promise me you'll leave us alone, you'll respect that I want somebody else, promise me you won't bother us. And the last line of the prologue is, I kept my promise for 6 years. That's the title of the book, 6 Years. 6 years pass. He sees that the husband's died. He sees an obituary. He goes to the funeral. The wife stands up. She turns around, and it's not the woman he loved. She never married him. No one knows where she's been for 6 years. He goes back to the chapel. No one at the chapel knows where they were. No one remembers a wedding. No one remembers them as a couple. That's the start of 6 years. Next year's book here.
That was Harlan Coben speaking at one of the biggest crime literature festivals in the world, taking place in the French city of Lyon. It's a bit suspicious. Why Lyon and not Paris? Inspector Will Hildebrandt can tell us more.
Lyon is known for its Festival of Lights, but the city in east-central France has a darker side too. In the 1970s, it was coined Chicago on the Rhone River. The Lyonnais gang terrorized the city, committing violent robberies, and in 1975, it even murdered Judge Renaud, who had been nicknamed the Sheriff. It was the first time since the Second World War that a judge was murdered in France. Crime is still evident in downtown Lyon. Nicolas Le Breton gives guided tours of the city, focusing on its criminal past. This cafe is famous for where gangster Pierre Raymond spent his last hours. In December 1969, police tracked him down here. Raymond opened fire and killed an officer before trying to flee out the back.
He was already wounded when he came out of this small door here, just a few meters. And there were 2 police officers waiting for him. They saw him jump out and one of the officers pulled the trigger.
15 years later, just down the block, Max Renaud and his militant anarchist group killed General Guy Delphos during a holdup. Lyon has seen numerous bank robberies over the years, from Jules Bonneau and the Bonneau gang in the early 20th century to Tony Mousselan in 2009 when he stole 12 million euros from a security van. Is it any surprise that Interpol has its headquarters here, or that one of the founders of criminology, Alexandre Le Cassagne, was based in Lyon? But perhaps the city's best-known crime was in 1894. President Sadi Carnot, with limited security, visited Lyon during a wave of anarchist attacks.
What he couldn't know was that in the crowd there was an anarchist waiting for him, a young Italian guy named Santo Geronimo Caserio. He had hid a dagger in a folded newspaper. The dagger had the colors of the anarchists, red and black. And before anyone could do anything, the anarchist had stepped up and killed the president.
A city with a few skeletons in its closet. It's been the source of inspiration for writers and filmmakers, such as a new film based on the story of Tony Mousselan starring François Cluzet.
So it's cities like Lyon that inspire crime writers, but it's also real-life crime. Inspector Kate Moody reports now on a French author who's been spending time behind bars with some prisoners.
In a room behind high walls and barbed wire are 16 prisoners and a writer. No, it's not a crime novel or thriller, but it's close. The author Olivier Truc has come to talk about literature with inmates at a prison in eastern France.
I was really interested in meeting them, not only to find out what they thought of my book, but also just to see how the meeting went. And I think whether they read my book or not was secondary for me. I felt that there were as many stories that came from them as the reverse.
And these prisoners do indeed have stories. Madani, for example, got a degree to become a librarian while behind bars.
It's a moment of escape. Having already read the book, meeting the author allows you to understand certain things.
This unusual encounter was arranged by the crime literature festival Quai du Polar. This year, organizers wanted to promote reading in prison.
I've always thought that a meeting with an author should also be directed towards non-readers. In 9 years, we've had 3 people who have met authors. People who suddenly connect with the author, the writing, the book. And all of a sudden, we find them in the library.
A thriller behind bars. A chance for inmates to escape without running afoul of the law.
You see, in France, crime fiction is regarded as serious and it's even taught in schools. It's exciting, full of suspense, and it's very scary. But of course, it's only make-believe.